friends, it's Lionheart here, and I am back with more Cyberpunk TCG footage, because I was lucky enough to be sent one of the alpha kits from the wonderful team over at WeirdCo. What does that mean? Well, it means I have been playing as much of this game as possible with as many friends as possible so that I can collate kind of my thoughts and sort of feedback on it. I've made videos so far, hoping and hyping the game. I've looked through all of the rules and given you a full how-to, and I've even interviewed Kree Gunning, the community manager for the game as well. This is the first video coming after I've actually played it, okay? So it's going to be a little bit different. I've played tons of TCGs and CCGs over the years, and the really, really good ones, they strike a balance between engaging and easy to get into in game 1 and still fun and engaging in game 501. So, with that in mind, throughout this video, we'll be doing a few different things. Of course, the first thing I'm going to do is going to have a brief look at the physical alpha kit. I'm going to show you exactly what's in the box, but as it arrived, and I was traveling on the day mine got here, many amazing creators have already made videos going into depth of all the details and the little things in the box. So this isn't going to be a whole let's go through the alpha kit video. I'm going to show you all the cool stuff in there in the first segment of the video because, oh my word, it is great. I'm going to comment on the overall quality and feel of the product, the art, and what's in the box before we move on to the core of this video. So, the actual gameplay loop. After playing the game myself, I want to share what I like, what I don't like, and things I'm still curious about. And remember, everything is based on the alpha kit. So I am aware all of this is based on the very initial alpha kit. There's a lot more information still to come. There's a lot more that we're still going to learn here about the game. And many of my questions, concerns, thoughts, maybe they will be addressed simply by the release of the full game. I guess we're going to find out together. But without any further ado, I think you're all here to look at the alpha kit at least to start with. So let's go do that. So here we have the actual alpha kit. I've got it, it's in my hands. Now, I have opened it prior to making this video because I wanted to play with it. We were going away just after it arrived, so I wanted to make sure I got in as many games as possible. But I have to show you. This is the alpha kit. It comes in this box. Very, very nice, good quality. And as you open it up, you are greeted with, initially, the playmats that come inside. Now, the playmat gives you a copy of the whole field, and they give you 2 of them, which is perfect because, well, it's a 2-player game. I like this. On the flip side as well, I really like this. If it goes into the starter decks, this would be brilliant. It gives you a full breakdown of what a card is and all of the key areas of it. Explains the basics of the how to win, your turn structure, and the 4 different card types as well. Really, really nice inclusion. This will be perfect if it does go into starter kits. So I think that's really good. As I mentioned, there are 2 of these. Makes it nice and easy for you to get ready and start to play. Now, inside here, every single kit, this is where the cards should be, but I'm not a monster, so all of my cards are, of course, sleeved, because I would never, ever play with unsleeved cards, because that would be criminal. But the actual kit comes with 2 different decks. As you know, I'll go into a bit more detail about them in a little while, but the 2 different decks, your legend cards, each one has 3, and they are the yellow on black. Your normal cards then are black on yellow. And as we can see here, you've got like Dying Knights, you've got your Kuroshi Optics. Really nice going through as a basic set. Jackie here, this is the card that breaks the deck building rules. He requires 3 yellow RAM. However, so far, we only have 1 yellow legend who gives 2 RAM, but nonetheless, it's just to show off the card. It's all fine. Quite, you know, good quality. Nice to see some of this artwork in here as well. I really do like the art, particularly on some of these legends. The corporate V, although I never went corpo when I was V. It was very, very nice. That's deck number 1. And, of course, deck number 2 in here as well. Starts with the 3 legends. It is Arasaka leaning. You've got Goro Takamura, Yorinobu Arasaka, and Saburo Arasaka as your legends here. And this deck instead, it's corporate surveillance. You've got your Mantis Blades, all things like that. A bit of corpo security, very Arasaka, very thematic. We do also have the Emergency Atlas in there as well. Another Goro. I do like that we're going to get different variations of these characters with alternate art. And of course, the Sand of Estent as well, a really cool card that I personally hope we get some cool alternate art for one of these. But yeah, overall, actual card quality feels very nice. Strong actual cards if I take one out of the sleeve. One of the things that, you know, I will talk about in a bit more detail in a while, the things that I like, but it's a very good quality card. The print quality is very nice, very easy on the eye. They don't feel cheap. They don't feel like they're going to come to pieces, which is very nice. So I like that. In there also, for each deck, you get the 3 cards that come with each deck, which are very, very useful. The basics, how to win, and the turn structure, it's the same as the mat on the other side. Tells you what to do before you begin, very nice, and again, explains the gigs and the street thread system, and just a little welcome to the Cyberpunk game. Form the ultimate edge runner crew, adapt to dynamic gigs, and hit the major leagues. Nice, again, a good inclusion into any intro product. But there are a couple of things we haven't seen yet in here. These are the dice. You've got the gig dice, really like the presentation on these as well. You've got your gig dice for 1 player, and you have your gig dice for a 2nd player as well. And identify them. I personally prefer these bolder ones, mostly because when I filmed footage, it's a lot easier to see what is on the top of these. I struggled when I was video editing with some of the paler ones, but there you go. What can you do? So they were really nice. The really cool thing, each of the alpha kits comes with 1 of 3 of the rare alt arts. Now, I got Yorinobu Arasaka. It is sleeved and then top-loaded because I'm a big fan of these kind of things. Gorgeous artwork. The reflection, the foiling is really good. Not sure. Okay, it looks like it's coming through quite well on the camera, so that does make me happy, but it is immaculate. If this is the quality we can expect for those additional rarities, I'm not sure if this is what they class as a Nova Rare. Either way, whatever it's called, these alt arts are absolutely stunning. That is one of the legends in one of the decks, the Yorinobu, and it's the alternate art version of this card here. So obviously you can only run one or the other, but it's really nice to see that they've already considered sort of the collectors in the game as well. So overall, alpha kit itself, quality, very, very nice, but the rest of the video, as promised, is going to be me going into more detail about how it felt to actually play the game. There have been some fantastic creators who've made videos already looking through every card in the kind of the alpha kits, but it's not why we're here. I just want to show you what there is. I really, really like it. And if you're excited to get your hands on Cyberpunk TCG and you want to try the alpha kits yourself, firstly, you can join their Discord because they do competitions for giveaways for some of these, which is really, really cool. But also, if you back the Kickstarter not back it, you can't do that yet. If you follow the Kickstarter as of the time this video comes out and go into the announcement on the Kickstarter, you can download a digital version to print off so that you can try this yourself. They've put it into the Kickstarter already that you can go and check that out. I will leave a link for that in the description as well. So go and check it out, chums. Well, that was the physical kit. Absolutely love it, and genuinely really, really pleased with the quality and the promo that I got. I would love to be the first person to have all 3, but I get a feeling no other creators are going to be willing to send me theirs to allow me such an honor, but I'm going to do my best to barter for them wherever I can. As promised though, this isn't just a hey look at the alpha kit video. I want to talk about my experience playing with the game, the good, the bad, and the maybe. And I think we'll start with the good because that's just the kind of guy that I am. The first point, the game is really easy to learn and understand. One of the things I said earlier, it's crucial that the entry point to a game is easy. A single game of this and you will know what to do, and it feels satisfying to play. It's great for a TCG in an IP like Cyberpunk. It's an incredibly popular IP outside of card games, and it isn't popular in card games because it didn't have one. It's had several attempts at them, but they're kind of board games in reality. It is very possible that Cyberpunk TCG could be someone's first card game simply because they love Cyberpunk, in the same way that Lorcana was a lot of people's first card game because they love Disney. It's really good as a result that this game is so easy to pick up, and the rules are simple and easy to follow and consistent on the cards. It's crucial. We've seen other games mess up their initial launch and errata a bunch of cards and change a bunch of rules because they're about as clear as mud. That doesn't feel the case here. Absolutely love that. Next, the artwork. Now, the Alpha Kit obviously has a very limited pool of cards, but the art is incredible. However, they are regularly releasing artwork for cards that are coming in the full release, and oh wow. You guys know me, I'm from Gwent. Gwent is the absolute S tier of card game artwork. Cyberpunk is using a lot of those artists and many, many more. It is going to give it a run for its money. That's how good it's going to be. 10 out of 10, no notes. Yes, please. Keep doing what you're doing. Have the alternate arts, have the gorgeous styles. Yep, love it. Fantastic. Next, card quality. The physical feel of the cards is really good. The cards themselves are like a very thick stock, good quality. I know that sounds like a weird thing to pick up, but I played a lot of card games with quality control issues, and it really does impact it. It has a big... When you feel like your cards are a weird or cheap quality, it does impact the way it plays. And honestly, this has not suffered from that. It's only the Alpha Kit. Obviously, wider scale production, we will see. A single card has pringled. By pringled, if you're not from the country that has the crisp pringled, I mean it curves. They were aware of it. They let us know before we noticed it in the Alpha Kit that the print run had pringled. So clearly they are aware and interested in delivering a good quality product. So I love that. Gig dice. They were great. Again, high quality. Again, very nice inclusion in the Alpha Kit that I really liked. I think if future starter decks are going to come with the paper playmat that came in the Alpha Kit as well, which obviously is the layout that you see that I've obviously just showed you, and on the flip side is all of the how-to rules, they are set because it was everything you would need. The decks also had 3 little cards that took you through each step as you would hope. Honestly, again, very, very well presented. Love that. In terms of gameplay itself, every match is quick. It's fast. It has like a frantic feel to it, which I think is good. Card games can overstay their welcome sometimes. If a game is, oh, this whole matchup's going to take an hour, nobody really wants that most of the time. And it does definitely have that speedy, easy to get into feel to it. The game feels cyberpunk. I don't know how to quantify this without, but you can just tell it isn't a card game that's got cyberpunk stuff stuck on it to sell it. The people, like the making the game, and obviously because CD Projekt are involved, that doesn't surprise me, but they know the world. They want the game to be a part of it, not some sort of loose add-on. Now, it's one of the most important things for me because it shows that they've got a passion, respect for the source material. The abilities feeling cyberpunk, the cards looking the right way, the abilities feeling synergistic to what that world makes those abilities, I really like. And so far, I think it's done that broadly very well. The next thing that I think I really liked, the deck building concept. The RAM system. Okay, it's broken in the Alpha Kit because they wanted to show off a couple of really cool, strong cards, but the actual concept of it, I think it's really fun. It's going to allow for deck building diversity, which I really like, provided there's a wide enough card pool and answers, and I'll get to that later. The concept of the deck building is brilliant. It adds nuance outside of just deck is this color or color combo, and it gives you more decision making. It's like the provision system in Gwent. I love that about Gwent. It made it unique because it meant your decision making process was wider and more diverse, even if there was a smaller card pool. Absolutely love that, and I think that can work really, really well. There are going to be hundreds of other things that I'm sure I'm going to think of, but those, like my key takeaways on the positive side of the game, having played it, were those things. But with the good comes potentially the bad, things that I'm interested if they're going to stay the same way or might like to see change. So, while I've said each game feels fast, and I love that, there is a feeling, this is just in the alpha kit potentially, and maybe new cards will make this feel different, but once you're behind on board, it can feel inevitable that you're not going to get it to swing back in your favor. Because there are so few turns, as a result, the amount of eddies you can physically have is limited. You can physically only do so many things. As a result, once you're behind, there's a worry that you're going to always be behind and it's just, okay, go next, right? Again, could be due to the limited cards in the alpha, more programs, more interactions, more blockers or options could absolutely change that, different gear, things like that. But in the alpha kit version that I played, once someone established that they were going to be ahead, it never really swung back the other way. In terms of the alpha kit, the decks themselves feel a bit lopsided, and that's not a criticism of the alpha kit decks, because again, they are just that, but it was, and when I say this, it's based on the cards that were sellable. Now, a wider card pool will probably fix this and you'll build your own decks, but it definitely felt like one of the decks, the cards that you had to sell, because not every card is sellable, most units, in fact I think all units can't be sold, the cards that you had to sell were good, and in the other deck you were very happy to sell them, and as a result it felt like there was a bit of an imbalance there. But again, I'm sure that's something that when you're building your own decks and there's a wider card pool, you will choose how many of your sellable cards are in there ultimately. But I do think units being sellable in some instances will help balance them as well. It'll give them a wider range of what they can print, so I do hope they don't limit it to only programs and gear being the sellable options, because if that's the case, I think it's going to skew a lot, and regularly the synergies that they would create become much less useful if you're always having to sell them to get your curve. So I would like to see maybe units being sellable. After all, everybody is for sale in Night City, right? So I don't think it's unsynergistic. Phases. Now the game has 3 very clear phases, kind of ready, play, attack. But once you go to your attack step, you cannot then play more cards, you can't reveal legends, you can't sell, okay? That limits your decision making, your agency as a player. You can't force your opponent to use a blocker early based on what you're attacking with on board, and then flip a legend and go solo, or play another unit with a Sandervesten to be able to attack. It takes away a little bit of agency. It does make it simpler, but it then, a lot of the decisions that you would like to make and could probably have made in other card games are taken away from the player. So I would rather that wasn't the case, in the same way that if you've attacked and you've still got spare eddies, you then can't flip a legend because you've got the eddies, right? If you don't want multiple combat phases, you could implement like a post-attack phase, similar to Magic, where you could still flip legends or place things on the board, but the attack step has gone, and they can't attack even if. So I think that after phase would be something to consider. But the biggest issue that I felt kind of comes from the gig system itself, which is weird because it's a system I really like. I get the impression that they've been through a lot of different versions of what the gig system is going to look like, and the simplicity of the system is what they've landed on, which I really like. I do think that it could still do with some tweaking. I don't like that the win condition is 6 gigs when I have access to 6 gigs. I feel thematically going for 7 and having control of the majority of Night City's gigs and having to take something from my opponent definitely would feel better. And I know it would extend the game at least 1 turn on, and they're trying to keep it quick, but I don't know. I just think that would be better personally. But there's a little bit more depth to my issues with the gig system, because it's where you check the win step that gives me an issue. Obviously, when you're in overtime, it's instantaneous. We'll get to that in a second. But When you check for a win, it's before you start your draw phase, right? Which means you always win when your opponent can't stop you. And that sounds like a weird thing to say because you're going to go, well, that's always the case, but that's not actually true. The game always ends effectively on your opponent's turn. In games with a central life pool, sure, people can forfeit and go, yeah, it's on board, no problem, but you do get that satisfying moment of, I'm going to attack your life points. In Lorcana, you can quest for victory, and again, sometimes, oh, it's on board, I'll, GG, but a lot of the time, in your turn, you can play that final bit of your combo, or you can make it work so that you win rather than your opponent loses. And so far, in overtime, that is the case. You make the flip, and as soon as you get to 7 gig dice, you win. Okay, that's cool, and the fact that there's a buffer turn in between for people to set that up, but I'm not sure 1 extra gig dice is enough for that overtime step to be instant, if I'm being honest. I think it should be 8 instant or 7 at the start of your turn if we're going to do it that way, but I don't know. It feels... After a few games, it wasn't that bad, but it was the consistent comment from the people I played with, all of which are kind of card game veterans, that the winning didn't feel satisfying enough because the opponent lost, you didn't win. Is that going to be the case after 50 games, 100 games? Is it how I'm going to feel with more different cards and strategies? I don't know, but it definitely was my biggest criticism so far, if I'm being honest. And I know the overtime step alleviates this to an extent. I'm curious how often games will end up in that overtime step, and if therefore they need to work on that. But maybe some other alternate win conditions would be useful. I know you don't want 1,000 ways to win, but I would like to feel like I won, if that makes sense. Moving on to questions. Now, lots of the questions I have are unanswerable because, of course, we're in the alpha, and I'm just curious. Like, I tried to ask Cree a lot of these things, and obviously can't reveal certain things yet. Loads more coming in the Kickstarter, which I will flash up on the screen here, because you should absolutely go and back this. Follow it so you can get your free Lucy card as well in advance of it launching in March. I am genuinely really, really hyped about this game. Having played it with the alpha kit, I am more excited than I was. It is still very early days, and as I've said, there are some things I've got reservations about. How am I going to feel 100, 200, 500 games in to something like this? Hopefully we will get answers to those questions. I'm looking at this through a kind of, I like playing card games competitively, or I like casting them competitively, because that's what I love about card games. Some people love competitive, some people like casual, all of which I think they're trying to appeal to in different ways, but my main feelings are coming from that competitive side. On the collector side, I am very, very happy. So that's where my kind of curiosity around the win condition has come from. I'm sure it's going to be the case that I'm going to look back on this video when we have all the reveals for set 1 and go, oh, well, clearly they've answered that, but I would like to see more options in cards. At the moment, we have a very limited card pool, so it's kind of hard to speculate, but I really hope that programs and sort of like the net running theme of being able to get in the opponent's way becomes more of a thing. Different ways to protect your gigs, I think, would be good. And personally, I would like to see some way of, when you attack to steal a gig, I think that should cost you something. The fact that the unit doesn't get consumed, beaten, sold, whatever it is from doing that, does kind of contribute to that never feeling like you can catch up feeling. So if there are ways that you could make it so that, well, my gigs are protected not by a blocker but by a net runner, and it's going to destroy your unit if you take them, kind of thing, that would be really cool. Different archetype strategies and just more synergies, but that's an inevitable thing to want when we've only got a tiny alpha card pool. But I guess the big question you're probably all asking is, well, Lionheart, you've played the alpha. Are you still excited about the game? Well, the answer is absolutely. Yeah, I am. I was lucky enough to play this with 5 other people, over testing, played a lot of games, and as I say, they are experienced card game players from the widest range of card games you can imagine. And the feedback from all of them was, this game is fun. And the questions are some of mine, some of the feedback that they gave me that I've shared with you. I think this game can have a really strong future. Obviously, from a sort of like a playing side, the one thing I really want to see is local game stores picking this up, there being a community of players, because card games live and die by people physically meeting up with each other, having that community and playing them. It's the best thing about it. And coming as someone who was a digital player predominantly and then switched to physical, it's such an amazing feeling, that community you get around card games, especially if then there are bigger tournaments and your team goes. And it's a great feeling, and what I really, really hope Cyberpunk can instill. I will do my best to take my alpha kit into my local game store, run some games with people to try and build that hype. I would encourage you to talk to your local game store as well. Tell them that you want Cyberpunk TCG on their shelves, that you want a local for this, because it is worth it. I've seen, if you join the Discord, I'll put a link in the description below, and I believe somewhere on the Kickstarter, go into the announcements, there's a version that you can digitally download of the alpha kit. You can then print off proxies for yourself to test it. Go do it. Tell me what you think. Tell me how the game feels when you play it, because the more of us that play it and the more feedback we give, the better the game overall is going to end up being. The devs have been fantastic. There is a whole section, basically Ask a Dev, in their Discord. There are many new questions in there every day, and they're great at responding to them. And I know they're taking ideas and information, so you can feel that the game overall is made by people who know cards, love cards, and want this to succeed. The pairing between all of the experience in card games of WeirdCo and all of the just sheer love and joy of the IP that CD Projekt bring in is a very, very good match for me. So I'm really hopeful that it's going to go in the right direction, and I do genuinely think it has all of the pieces it needs to do that. Will the things that I don't like be changed or allayed with more cards? Only time will tell. But, well, I guess that's it for this video, because otherwise I'm going to stand here and talk forever. I hope you've enjoyed this. My next video is actually going to be me commenting on gameplay of Cyberpunk TCG. I did film a couple of the games, so I have put them into the very, very good overlay that the Cyberpunk team, specifically Cree, has provided, and I am going to walk you through a full game of Cyberpunk TCG. So don't miss that video. If you want to make sure you don't, well, you know the drill. Drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you do not miss it. And friends, I will see you in the next one.
Silverhand senses cards.